Hello everyone. Welcome to the Mercury. Hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with your same module, that is web application development, and same with the new session, that is session number 11, session number 7. That is a new session number 7. The session number 7 is the e-learning. That is what is the e-learning and how to use the e-learning. In the last class we have covered session number 6, that is the web search engine. So now let's see what is the search engine and what is the web search engine, and now we are using the web search engine in the web application development. So let's start with the previous class session. In the last class we have covered about the search engine, that is what is search engine, that is session number 6, that is a web search engine. So first of all we have studied about what is the search engine that is used with most of the web that are known as the search engine, and through a systematic and the continuous series, huge indexes with reference to the addresses are used with the millions of the web. So we are using the millions of the web for using the web services, that is a web search engine, that is used in contrast with the cold fusion markup language, that is a CFML. And these are the various steps by which we can use the search engine template for using in the CFML. Now what are the various steps we have discussed about this one, like preparing a menu, then register the collection of the files with which should be covered by the system, then indexing the file, then construct a query interface to the system, then prepare the searching by means of the engine, then preparing the option for deleting a collection. So we have covered all these we can say the menus in the last class, that is covered with the CFML. So the next topic that we have discussed is these are the various 6 steps that we have discussed in the last class, that is how to prepare the menu and how to register the collection of files with which we can be covered, or that should be covered by the system. Then indexing the file, then construct a query interface to the system, that is how to construct a query interface to the system, then preparing the searching by means of the engine, then preparing an option for deleting a collection. So these are the various 6 options that is used in the CFML. We have discussed in these 6 topics in detail. That is a user, then there is a selected document, then there is a query, then there is a document, then there is an index, then there is a retrieve link. So these are the various, we can say that this is the diagram that shows how to use the or how to get the retrieved links. This is outline of the search system. And in the following section, the template needed for implementing a search engine in CFMX verify module or verify modules are discussed. So this is one of the selection menu, that is first of all there is a preparing a menu, that is selection menu, that is selecting the one option from the multiple option, that is the select menu. The implementation of the full text retrieval system requires a usual application.cfm. So there is a usual or there is a normal application.cfm template is used, that is discussed, that is very similar to the earlier applications. There is no data source that is needed. And the first template that is used is index.cfm, that is a menu for selecting the required processes. So what are the required processes that is discussed with the implementation, that is discussed with the implementation of the discussion tool. So the first template index.cfm is a menu for selecting the required processes. So these are the various processes. There is a H2, that is heading number 2, then font color equals to blue, then search engine, that is used as a search engine for searching the contents. That is a collection of files, then again the P, then there is a 2, that is a collection of the the collection of the files, that is the AHREF, that is define a collection of files. This is indexing a collection of files, and the coding is used that we have discussed. This is one of the output, that is a search engine. So select the process that you want. One is registering a file collection, then indexing a file collection, then searching a file collection, then deleting a file collection. So these are the 4 processes that is used for searching the contents, that is used as a search engine. The menu figure number 2, that is generated by the template, displays the 4 options, that is registering, then indexing, searching, deleting. Then we have discussed about the file collection, that is how to use the file collection or how to gain the file collection. So the collection that which we are going to define for this example comprises a session text files of this course. So that is used with the session file that is used with this course, that is a file collection, that is a collection of the text files of this course. And usually the number of text file that is used that comprises by the collection of is of course much higher. And the files can be of the different type, that is differentiated by their extensions. So file can be of the different types or the multiple types, that is differentiated by their extensions, like .htm, .html, .cfm, .cfms, .jpg. These are the various extensions by which we can through which we can collect the file, that is the file collection methods. And the first step in naming the collection remembering, so the first step that is used in naming the collection remembering, that is collection is not a set of the file themselves. The following templates make the required preparation for a collection. This is one of the required collection, that is recording a collection. This is one of the heading, the name of the collection, then folder for the collection. This is a recording form, that is how to record a collection, how to record a collecting form, that is the name of the collection and the folder for the collection. This is form.recording.cfm displays a form, that is figure number 3, requesting the information that is needed for definition of a collection, that is used with the CFM, that is used with the form recording. Now, this is the coding that is used for the form recording. This is the form recording.cfm. There is the H2, that is the font color equals to blue. Then defining a collection, this is given in the heading, that is a H2. Then form will be used, and there are 3 or 2 forms that is used with this one, that is a recording form. This is a recording form, that is a recording a collection name, then folder, then record button. And this is the explanation of this one, that what name should be attached to the collection and in which folder should the collection, that is the index file, be established. So what is the main name and what is the folder in which the collection is maintained. And the form tag leaves the process control to the template recording.cfm when the form is submitted. So form tag also leaves the process control to the template. What is the name of the template? That is the recording.cfm when the form is submitted. And the recording.cfm template looks like this one. This is a recording.cfm template, that is a CF log, that timeout equals to 30, name equals to CF collection log, type equals to exclusive. So these are the various locking mechanism that is used, that is exclusive log. Then CF collection action equals to create, collection equals to collection name, path equals to collection path, language equals to English. So these are the various collection names that is used with the CF collection, that is action, collection, path, language. Then the CF log will be closed. So there is the opening of the CF log and there is a closing of the CF log. Then there is a P tag, that is a paragraph tag, that is a H3, that is required in the H3 tag. So this is the coding that is used in this one. Then there is indexing the file, that is how to maintain the index. So this is the name of the collection, URL, path. So this is the table, or this is the output that is generated with the help of the HTML that we have discussed. So there is a H2 tag. So first of all, there is a H2, that is the heading number 2, that is indexing a collection. This is the H2 tag. This is the H2. Then there is a form action equals to this, that is a form tag will be used, and there are one label, and this is a one text box that is used in this one, that is the name of the collection. Then there is a text box, that is a type equals to text, name equals to collection name, P will be closed. Then there is a P URL path to source folder. So this is URL path to the source folder. Then there is a text box, that is input type equals to text, name equals to URL path. Then again the P tag, that is the full path to the source folder. So this is the full path to the source folder, and there is a text box that is used in this one. Then at last there is a file extension and there is a text box. Then input type equals to submit. So this is a submit button that is created with the input type equals to submit. Now what is the value that is generated with the, or that is used with the input tag? That is the value equals to index. So we use any type of value, or any type, any value with the input command. In addition to the name of the collection, the URL path and the full path to the folder, not the connection folder containing the document to be indexed are required. So whatever the path, that may be a URL path, that may be a full path, that is used with the folder that is connecting the document or containing the document that is used to recover within the index. Now next is searching the collection. We can also search the collection with this one, like this one. This is also required in the H2 tag. Then there is a name of the collection, search word, then there is a search button. This is also the output. Then deleting a register collection, that is the last topic that we have discussed, that is how to delete the collection. So there is the form deleting.cfm. Then there is a H2 tag, that is the font color equals to blue, deleting a collection font, then H2 will be closed. Then form action equals to deleting.cfm, that is the form has an action, that is a deleting.cfm. Then there is a P tag, that is the name of the collection. Then there is a text box that is available with the input type. Then there is a P, then input type equals to submit, value equals to delete, then P tag will be closed, then there is a form tag that is closed. So there are two P tags that is used with the name of the collection, and the input type equals to submit, and the value that is required as a delete. Now deleting a collection, this is name, then name of the collection and folder of the collection. Then there is a record, then delete the record with the help of the deleting.cfm. This is the final remark that we have discussed, that is there is a final result that is used with the search engines. Now next session is the session number 7, that is the e-learning, that is the today's topic, that is how to maintain the e-learning, or what are the various steps that is used with the e-learning. What is the main difference between the authorization and the authentication? So let's start with the previous class. Let's start with today's class session. So session number 7 is the e-learning, that is how to use the e-learning, or what is the e-learning. So whenever we learn something electronically via internet, for example, the best example is ours example. I taught you electronically. We are so far from each other. There is a remote location, but we are used to talk with each other. I teach you and you will get the knowledge. So this is the e-learning, that is a learning that is used with the help of the internet, that is the e-learning. So in this session, implementation of the web courses using Cold Fusion is discussed. As a student of this course, you should be particularly well armed with the good ideas from your personal experience. So there is a personal experience that is covered, that is you should arm or get your personal ideas, personal experience that is used with the personal experience, and it is possible or impossible to go through a complete course in detail. The course you are accrediting contains more than thousands of files of different types, so there is no time that there is a full-fledged course or there is a full-fledged module that is e-learning. No, this is only a session or one chapter that is used in this module. So this is not the full-fledged chapter that is available e-learning, but this is you can say the wide concept that is used in the electronically, or that is used over the internet, that is the e-learning. But nowadays everyone, that may be a 9th class student, that may be a 10th class student, that may be a 12th class student, they want online teaching. That means they want it on the internet, using internet, or there is online teachings, online tutors that is available over the internet. So let's start with the session number 7, that is e-learning. Now first is web courses. That is what is the main course in the e-learning. So in this session, the implementation of the web courses using a Cold Fusion is discussed. So in this session, how to use the web courses, or how to implement the web courses that is used with the Cold Fusion, that is discussed in this one. And as a student of this course, you should be particularly well armed with the good ideas from your personal experience. So that means you carried your personal experience that is given with a particular experience that is used as a Cold Fusion markup language. It is impossible to go through a complete course in detail because there are multiple files that is used in this one. As an application example, a hypothetical web course on information retrieval is also used. We assume that the following list can be used as a guide for our discussion, that is the hypothetical web course that is used for the information retrieval, that is used over here. Now, what are the various lists that can be used as a guide to our discussion? Now, what is the course structure? Then authorization and authentication, then text, then illustration, then literature, then evaluation. So these are the various steps, or these are the various 6 steps that is used with as a guide for our discussion. You follow a link to the implementation of the examples at the end of the session. You can either register yourself getting your own pin code, or you can behave and register with email, that is dummy and print the code 00. That means you cannot leave the blank field in this one, because that page is not moving to the next page. Now next topic is the course architecture. That is what is the main course architecture that is used in this one. So there is a development of a web course. Like any IT system is an art. So whenever we develop something, this is an art. So development of a web course, like any IT system that is used, that is an art. That is an, we can say, the deep knowledge of the person, that is an art. and there are no absolute proven rules for which what is the right or what is the best approach. So there is no proof that what is the mean correct position or what is right and what is wrong. In this example application, a folder with a flat organization of all needed files will be considered acceptable. So whatever the discussion, whatever the application that is used, that is generated in this one, that is generated with the email application, that is generated with the application that is used with the folder with the flat organization of all the needed file that is required in this one, that is used for the acceptable, and all the files for the example is a single folder. So whatever the file that is used, that is a single folder, that is with the exception of the database located outside the directly accessible area and refers to as a session data source. Now security considerations are important only in connection with the source design. So whatever the source design that is used, so there is a security consideration that is more secure, that are important only in the connection with the course design. So we use a course application as a case for discussing authorization and the authentication of the users, which is a common task in many applications. This is one of the security enabled concept that is used in this chapter, that is a part of the course architecture, that is authorization and the authentication. I think we have discussed already. And now my question is to Larry. Larry, can you tell me what is the difference between the authorization and the authentication? Larry, are you able to hear me? Now, what is the main difference between the authorization and the authentication? My question is to Larry. Yeah, Larry, are you able to hear me? Hello, 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 hello. Now, Larry, are you able to hear me right now? Now, tell me, Larry, what is the main difference between the authorization and the authentication as we have discussed? Hello. Yes, tell me, Larry. Good afternoon. Yes, tell me, Larry. My question is, what is the difference between the authorization and the authentication? This is mentioned over here. I am talking about the difference between the authentication and the authorization. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, tell me, Larry, what is the difference between the authorization and the authentication? And authentication? I agree, authorization is a grant access. What about the authentication? Because it is available that security consideration is, first of all, there is a concept, that is the authorization and the authentication. So I'm talking about what is the authorization and what is the authentication. Larry, there is Larry, please tell me the answer. What is the difference between the authorization and the authorization and the authentication? You so you say that the authorization is a grant access and the authentication is on the basis of the authorization. Or we can say that is a process of secure authentication. Okay, all right. So security is enabled with the authorization and the authentication. Authentication means checking the user whether the user is authenticated user or not. That is whether the user is a valid user or not. And authorization means when you take something, when you are on identity is proved, then there is an authorized page that is available. So authorized person can access the content, that is the authorizations of the users, which is a common task in many applications. Along the road we shall make comments to other form of security also. So along the road we could also make the comment to the other forms of security that is available in the figure number 1. That is the course organization progress model. In the figure number 1, the overall organization was discussed. Figure indicates that topics for who are particularly interested in discussion are the authentication, authorization, and the integrity, I think. Now, authorization and the authentication. Now, this is in detail that what is authorization and what is authentication. This is the diagram of the organization, figure of the organization, that is the course organization progress model. That is how the progress model will be, or progress control will be made for the course organization that is used for the organization. So there is a user, then there is a user, then there is an entrance, and after the entrance there is a authorization. That means the first of all check the whether that the author is an authorized user or not. That is a user, then there is an entrance, then there is an authorization. Then there is a progress control, there is authentication at the time of entrance only, that is checking the authentication of the user, whether the user is authenticate user or not. For example, the condition is that the user, this is one of the example, that the user must be of the age of the 18 at the time of the marriage, or at the time of or 18 at the time of giving the vote, that is the voter ID card. So till then he or she is a minor, but after 17 years he or she is not a minor. There is the user, then there is the entrance, then the authentication, then authorization, then there is the information, then there is the process controls. And there is the progress control that is available with this one, that is election number 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, along with their figure. So that is the course organization progress model, that is how the course will progress, that is the course organization progress model. Now come to the main point, that is the authorization and the authentication. So this says in mostly web pages the participation involves or participation requires authorization. So if there is any participation in any term, so what is required or what is the main requirement that is used, that is the authorization. That is student has each participating student has been that is each participating student has been admitted by the sponsoring organization, that is authorization. By authorization the participant receives some kind of identification. So whenever we get the authorization, that means we get the identification of to provide his or her right to enter the course. And the requirement that is governing the authorization can vary from course to course. So whatever the requirement that is available that governs the organization, that is used for the organization, that can vary from the course to the course. And the technique of assigning the identification for providing the right to participate is a highly relevant subject to discuss in more detail. So whatever the technique that is used in assigning the identification for proving the right to participate, so whatever the right that is available to participate in the content that is subject to the discussion in this. The first template that we discuss is the index.cfm, that which opens our example or our example course scenario, that is open or index.cfm, that is the first coding that is used. It starts by the welcome text to both admitted and new applying student. Line number 3 differentiate actions for the two groups, that is line number 3 that makes the division between the groups. If the caller is new, then he or she is asked to go for the registration, while already registered user can proceed into the login as specified in the line 5 to 9. Now consider the login alternative first. The login process, figure number 2, requires that the student type his or her email and password, that is the pin code when which he or she received when registers. That is the consider the login alternative name, that is the login process that requires the username and the password that user must enter to go back to the or to go into the page. This is one of the example. The process of checking the student is entitled to access the course as an admitting student is referred as the authentication. That means authenticate the user if the student is entitled to access the courses that is on and you admitting the person. So suppose I take the admission in one of the university and the university has some rules to access the courses because one course is wind up right now or yesterday and then I approach to the next consent that is used with the entitled to access the course as an admitted student. This is one of the coding of the index.cfm. Now there is a H1 that is a heading number 1 e-learning information retrieval, that is a e-learning information retrieval. Then this is a P tag, that is a paragraph tag, that is thank you for your interest in the course on the IR, that is information retrieval, and so on so on. This is all is available within the P tag. So this is the P tag and there is a hyperlink that is created automatically. This is please click on the ahref registration.cfmy registration form, then A will be closed, P will be closed over here. Then again the P tag, then there is a bold tag also and the font color is also red, that is access the course with your, now access the course with your zip code. Now there is a text box that is available with this one, that is a text box, that is click the input type equals to submit, value equals to response, then value equals to submit, the name is response and the value is submit. Then the form tag will be closed. There is the opening of the form tag, P tag, then form, then P input, then click on the button, then at last the form tag will be closed. Line 6 to 7 of the template indicate that for authentication the email address and the pin code are required. So for authentication purpose the email address and the pin code is required or pin code are required. So what is the email address and what is the pin code that is required in this authentication? So suppose I want to authenticate or I want to check out the account, so that I require is a ATM card, that is the email address and the ATM pin. More identifiers means high security, that is a risk, less risk for the intruder. So this is one of the example, that is how to use the e-learning reference retrieval, that is a pin code, and there is a submit button that is used with this one. Now this is again the registration form, that is the first name, then family name, then email, then all boxes must be completed successfully processing, that is submit your registration. Now this is available in the H2 form, that is H1 or the H2, that is the registration form. Then form action equals to authorization.cfm. Now what is the main action or what is the main source of the form tag, that is authorization.cfml. Then method equals to post, that is whatever the method that is used, that is a posting over here, that is the method equals to post. Then the P tag will be used. Either we can use the P tag, but there is no same formatting that is applied within the P tag, but with the use of the P tag, that is the predefined or the pre-formatted, whatever the format that we had applied or that we are giving in the browser window of the notepad, that same format will be used as a pre tag. That is the first name, then input type, text, name, first name. So this is the button will be created, then label will be created for the first name, label will be created for the family name, and the label will be created for the email. Then the P tag will be closed. So this is the opening of the P tag, this is the closing of the P tag. Now all the boxes must be compel hardware platform and the limitations of the web server. So whatever the web server that is available, that is used with the hardware platforms, that is a part of the hardware platform, and the limitations of the web server. In a similar way, the attitude for successful planning. That is the input type equals to submit, value equals to submit your registration, then the form tag will be submitted. So this is all boxes must be completed for successful processing. Then submit button will be created, that is your registration. This is a submit button, your registration will come in this one, then the form tag will be closed. The pin can either be self-composed, that is the person who requests the registration provide his or her own password, or it is assigned by the system. So whatever the pin that is required as a password, either the consumer will know their password, either they get the OTP, that is a one-time password that is available as a pin, that has advantage, that is very easier for the owner to remember, and they can buy special technique, that is a hashing be secret key for the system staff. and compared with the system assigned password, the disadvantage of self-composed pins are, that is, what are the various disadvantages of the self-composed pins? That they may be easy to guess and they cannot easily serve as internal identifier. That means that they may be, the pins may be easy to guess and they cannot easily serve as external identifier. So that is not used as external identifier. And the above template has no fields for providing the self-composed pins, indicating that we have chosen to use system assigned identifier, that is done by the PIM tag. Now this is the registration.cfm. The templates leave the control to the authorization.cfm. So whenever we are taking the registration.cfm, that leaves the control to the registration or authorization.cfm template, which can be modified in several ways or multiple ways. For example, the course capacity, which is set in line 2, will depend on the number of factors as the nature of the course as the capacity of the instructor. So that is, for example, the course capacity that is used in the line 2, that depends on the number of the factors on the basis of the nature, on the basis of this one. That is capacity equals to 10, that is line number 2, that depends as the nature of the course, capacity of the instructor. So in this we are giving the capacity as a 10. Then again the CF set. So now set the value, that is define the value, that is define the variable, that is the multiplier. So when is the capacity have a 10, then multiplier have a 5. That means whatever the multiplier that is used as a multiplication method. The template have a CF query tag that is named as a list with a select from clause. So that is the select from clause is used for this one. That is the template has a CF query tag that is named as a list with a select from statement in the line number 4. So there is no select for statement or select from statement. The SQL statement receives all the columns in the column pin. So whatever the column that is available, that is given in the pin, that is given as a select the pin from the user ID. So that means they are giving the pin user ID that is used in the with the pin. Now check the condition if the number of the used pins, that is a value list dot read count. So whatever the list that is available, that is read count, that already has reached the capacity limit. If so, measure about no vacant position. So this is a read count, that is list read count, that is sent to the producer is simply a capacity lines 10 to 31 specifies the further processing. That means this is the code that is used for the registration.cfm. This is the coding for the registration.cfm. This is the authorization.cfm. Then there is a CF set. Now this is a CF set, that is a variable will be defined, that is the capacity equals to 10 and the multiplier equals to 5. That means the capacity that is given as a 10 and the multiplier that is given as a 5. Then CF query name equals to list, data source equals to DB. That means the query has a name, that is a list, and the data source that is available as a DB. Now select the pin from user ID. That means whatever the name that is given for the user ID. So then select the name or select the pin from the user ID. That means selecting only the one column, that is the pin column, and what is the name of the table from which the data will be fetched, that is the select the pin from the used pin. Then the CF query will be closed. So this is the opening of the CF query, this is the closing of the CF query. Then there is a CF if, that is a if condition will be used if the list dot record count. So whatever the record count that is used in this one, that is if the list dot record count is equals to 10. So if the record that is available is equals to the 10, that is the capacity, that is the maximum capacity. Then print, sorry, the course has no vacant position. So if the record count is equals to capacity, so they are both the equal, simply says that the course has no vacant position. Else set the test value as a 0 and give the loop. Now what is the main loop? That is the main loop is the CF loop condition. Now what is the main condition in looping? that is the condition is the test is equals to 0. Now test the condition, that is a loop control or loop condition that is available, that is the test equals to 0. So that a test that is available, that is looping, that is given as a condition, that is a test equals to 0. Now CF set, now if the test is equals to 0, then the CF set temp equals to randomize seconds now. So that is a CF set tag. So there is a cold fusion set. Now what is the value of the temp? That is a randomize seconds now. So randomize function will be used with the second function with the now function. Then CF set generated pin. So whatever the generated pin that is available, that generates the pin with the random range, that is the 1 multiplier then capacity, that is introduced with the multiplier and the capacity. So take the random range of the multiplier and the capacity, then the CF set test equals to 1. Now set the value of the test equals to 1. Then CF loop, then query equals to list. So whatever the query that is given, that is query equals to list, then CF if. Now check the condition for with the if. Now if the list dot pin is equals to the generated pin, so whatever the listing of the pin, if that is equals to the generated pin, then CF set pin equals to or test equals to 0. So if the list pin is equals to the generated pin, so set the value of the test equals to 0. Then CF break, that means the break will be encountered with this one, then closing of the CF if. Then the C loop will be closed or the CF loop will be closed. Now check the condition. If the CF if test is equals to 1, so whatever the test, whatever the CF if that is used, if that is equals to 1, then CF break, that means the CF break will be encountered. Then the closing of the CF if, then C loop. So this is one of the query that is used for this one, that is used with the query name, that is used with authorization, and authentication that is used with the query. Now taking the CF query as a add pin database as a DB. Now insert the values in this one. So now take the value or CF query, that is the CF query name is the add underscore pin, and data source that is available as a DB. Then insert into used pin. That means insert the values into the used pin. Then pin email, then values, that is a generated pin email. So whatever the generated pins that is available, that is used with the pin, and what is the value that is given is a generated pin, then there is a email, then the CF query will be closed. So there is the opening of the CF query that adds the name that is equals to the add pin, then the data source that is available with the DB, then insert into the used pin. So insert into the value that is a used pin, then pin email, then what are the various values, that is the generated pin and the email. Then CF query will be closed. Then there is a CF output, that is generating the output. Then H2, that means the heading number 2. Then font color equals to blue. So whatever the font color that is used as a blue, then your pin for the course, that is what is the main pin that is used for the course, then the font will be closed and H2 will be closed. Then there is a P tag, there is a paragraph tag that is used in this one. You have admitted or you have been admitted to the course. So whatever the content that you are taking, you have been admitted to the course. Use the following pin each time you are you log into the course. So whatever the log system that is generated, that is log into the course. Then B, that is the generated pin. So whatever the generated pin that is generated within the P tag and the B tag that is generated within the bold tag, then there is a CF output, that is the output will be closed and CF will be closed. So these are the various fields that is used in this one. This is the authorization.cfm. Now, so first of all, there is a capacity equals to 10, then multiply equals to 5, then query name equals to list, data source equals to DB, then select the pin from the user used pin, then the CF query will be closed, then CF if, that is the list dot record count, that is equals to the capacity. So whatever the list of the record count, that is equals to the capacity, Then font color equals to red. Then sorry, the course has no vacant positions. Then CF else. So one is the CF if check the condition that the read count is equals to the capacity, then the font color is red. Sorry, the course has no vacant position, then the font will be closed and the B2 or S2 will be closed. Then CF else, then CF set, that is again the same, that test. Then the loop condition, that is a test for the equals to the 0. Then test for the randomized function, that generated pin equals to rand range. Then test equals to 1. Now the second part of the template concerns the generation of a pin code not previously used. A variable known as a test is set equals to the 0 followed by a CF loop block from the lines 11 to the 20. So whatever the lines that is generated from the 11 to the 20, this is a CF loop condition, that is a test that is equals to 0, that is closed with a CF loop. This loop runs as long as the condition, that is the test equals to 0, is true. So whenever the condition is true, that will the code will run. In lines 12, 13, that is the 12 and the 13, this is the temp equals to randomized function, then generated pin equals to randomized function, that is used with the multiplier, that is used with the capacity. In lines 12 to 3 is generated. Then there is a multiplier, capacity, and the variables test, that is set to the 1. And there is an inner CF block that is inserted in the line, that is 1520, to check if the generated pin is free and not already assigned to another student. So this is used for only checking. Then query equals to read. The operations of this second CF loop block is interesting because referring to the name, that is the list of the query. So if it is referring to the or interesting to the game, that is before referring, or because the referring to the name, that is the list of the queries automatically loop through the query next. So whatever the query next, that is your variable, that is used with the interesting looping. That is all the retrieved pins and the compare in the line number 16, each pin used with a new generated pin. This is CF set test equals to 0. This is again the same operation that will be used. So this says that the list will be automatically looped through the query object, that is all the retrieved pins, and the compare in the line number 15 or the 16. Line number 15, CF query, loop query, then list dot pane. Then there is a query object that is generated with this one, then automatically loops with the query object, that is all the retrieved pins, and compare in the line number 16, each used pin with the new generated pins, and if the new pin code is found among the used pin codes, so whatever the pin code that is used, if the new pin is found with the new pin codes among the used pin code, the variable test is again set to the 0. So the variable test, that is set to the 0, and the inner or this inner CF loop is broken, and the remainder of the loop, outer CF loop in the line 20 to 24 is passed. So this is the line that is passed with the CF query equals to 1, then CF break, then 26, if and the CF loop. And this continues until the inner loop is passed without being broken, which implies that the generated pin is unused. And in lines 25 to 27, the new student is inserted into. So whatever the new student that is inserted into, the 25 and the 27, that is inserted into the used pin. This is the used pin values. And that is used with the line number 22. The new student is inserted into the database with the email address and the pin code, and in the lines 28 to 30. So this is the 28 to 30, that is the CF output, that is the H2. Then P, you have been admitted to the course, use the following pin each time you log into the course. Then CF output, so this is the closing or opening of the CF output. In line number 25 to 27, the new system is again inserted into the database with an email address. That is the 25 to 27. A new address is again inserted into the data source, that is the data source DB. Now here in real life scenarios or course, the registration form will usually be intercepted for an offline evaluation. So whatever the content that is used for the offline evaluation against the other criteria also that is used with the previous training and the grades. And following a positive external evaluation, the PIN code will be generated and the message sent the application. So whatever the message that is sent over the application, that is used with the real life courses. Then next is the authentication. So we are finished with the authorization. This is the authorization page. That is how to concept or how to use. That is what is the main authorization, or check out the conditions for the authorization purpose. The next is the authentication. That is how the authentication will be maintained. This is again the coding for authentication, and this is the list for the content that is used for the authentication. That means authenticate whether the user is legitimate user or not. These are the various forms that is used with the new service, requesting a new service. So this authentication I am covering after the break. So let's take a break right now, then move to the authentication part. So let's take a break right now. Let's start with the session after the break. So next part is authentication. That is how to use authentication in the part, or how to use authentication and what is authentication. So if the student login and submitted his email address and the PIN on the form that is generated by the index.cfm. So once the user is authenticate user, that is once the user has been submitted the email address and the PIN code on the form that is generated by the index.cfm template that discuss about, the process control is transferred to the template that is authentication.cfm. So once the user is authorized user, that is the authorization is maintained. So the next step that is used is the authentication. So after giving the email address and the PIN code on the form, the next part that is used is the authentication.cfm. And the purpose of this template is limited to check that the submitted pin code exists. So that the submitted pin code exists, that is the pin code that exists in this template that is used to limit the check that the submitted pin code exists. And this template starts by setting a variable test to the 0. So setting the variable test to the 0 and queries the data source for the list of all the required or registered pair of email and the pin value. So whatever the data source, whatever the test that is used with the data source for the list of the values or email address and the pin values. And the query that is named as the authentication. So this is the query that is named as the authentication. This is the authentication part. Then cf set test equals to 0. That means set the value of the test to the 0. Then cf set submitted pin equals to form submitted pin. That is used as a submitted pin. So set the value of the submitted pin as a form submitted pin. Then cf query data source, that is session.data source name equals to authentication. That means given the query as a data source, and this is a session.data source that is given as a name equals to authentication. Then select pin from user used pin. That is select the column pin from the name or from the table, that is the user underscore pin. Then the cf query will be closed. So this is a cf query that is used with the cf set, that is a submitted pin equals to this one. That is a cf query that is used with the data source equals to session.data source, that is the name equals to authentication. Then cf loop. Now what is the main looping? That query equals to authentication. Then cf if. Now cf if will be used, that the pin is equal to submitted pin. So if the pin is equal to the submitted pin, then cf set test equals to 1. That is given as a test equals to 1. So set the value of the test as that is equals to the 1. Then cf break, the break will be used and the if will be closed. Then the loop will be closed. Now test, if it is equals to 0, test is equals to 0. If the test is equals to 0, then session.pin equals to submitted pin, then h3 tag will be used for this one. And as in the authorization template, the template also have a cf loop that is used in the line 7 to 12. So whatever the lines that is used, that is from the 7 to 12, that is cf loop. Query equals to authentication, that is used with the cf loop, that is covered with the cf if, that is pin equals to 0. And if the pin is equals to the submitted pin, so whatever the submitted pin that is used, that is equals to the submitted pin. So use the cf set, that is a test equals to 1. Then cf break, that is used with the cf break, that means the break will be used. Then there is a CF if, that is the closing of the CF if, that is a cold fusion if. So if loop will be closed over here. Then there is a CF loop, that is the closing of the CF loop. So there is a CF loop, that is a query equals to authentication CF if, that is used with the CF if. Then HT tag will be used for this one. So this is used with the lines 7 to 12 on all the retrieved pin code are compared with the submitted pin. And if one retrieved code matches the submitted, the variable test is set to 1 and the loop is broken. Line number 13 contains the variable test, and if the test is equals to 1, the authentication is positive. And if the test condition is not true, line number 17 produces a message to the student that the pin code was rejected. So whatever the pin code that is rejected over the pin code. Above template demonstrates the principle, and if we should implement the previously stated security policy, both the register's email address and the used pin code should be retrieved for each student compared with the submitted email address and the pin code. So whatever the submitted email address and the pin code, that is used with the registered email and the pin codes. The next is a list of the content. So after a positive authentication, a template, that is a content.cfm, displays a list of the course, that is content from the student that should used, from which he or she can select lecture. So from which he or she can select a lecture, that is a list of the content that is used with the content.cfm. Now this is the first one that is used, that the lecture 24 that have no link, that is requesting a new services or requesting a new service. That is the first one, that is the first demonstration that is used in this one. So our agent, this is used for this one, new subscription form. The same HTML form will be used, that is a content.cfm, that is a content.cfm will be used. Then there is the h2 tag. This is the h2, then font color equals to blue. Now this is given as the font color as a blue. Then the information retrieval course, that is given in the h2 tag, that is the information retrieval course. Then there is a h1. So one is a h2 tag that is given in the blue. Then there is a h1 tag. So one is a low level heading, that is the h2 tag. Then there is a full high level heading that is used, that is the h1 tag after the h2 tag only. Then there is a OL, that is a ordered list. That the ordered list means 1 2 3 4 numbering will be used as a ordered list. Then in the OL there are different LI, that is a lecture, introduction, then lecture, description and the query language, then the lecture, document, indexing. So whatever the content that is used in this one. Then lecture, file organization, search operation, lecture, AHREF. Now within the lecture there is an anchor tag that is used for the linking purpose also. So this is used with the AHREF, literature.cfm, then references, then figures.cfm, then figure, that is used for this one. That is used as a template, that is used as a lecture plan. So this is your name, then email address, topic on which you source for the associated with each lecture. A number of special features can be established. So there are multiple features that can be established with this one, and access may, for example, be delayed to a certain opening date to avoid that the student rush through the course. So whatever the student that is rushing to the course, that is available with this one, that is used with the lecture course. That should take to make the conditions with. So so sorry for the delay. The next part is the lecture, that is how to use the lectures in the details. So from the list of the content, there are links to the different parts of the course. So what are the different part that is used in this course, that is used with the different parts of the course? As illustrations, only a few components are implemented in this example and listed below. So there are a few examples that is used in this one, and on the top of each template, CF if tag has been included with a special introduction. So there is a special introduction that is used in this one. Is defined session.pin that is used, that tells or that check for the condition or test if the client calling the page has been authenticated, and a session.pin variable is included in this one or not. If this variable has not been defined, the control goes to the CF else and to the CF abort at the end of the template. So if the variable is not defined, that is a session, or is defined session.pin, so this will go to the CF else or the CF abort at the end of the templates. This feature reduces the risk of the arbitrary visit to the individual pages for the course system. So whatever the system that is used, that is defined with the is defined, that is session.pin, that is used with the test, that is used to generate if the session is defined or not. This is one of the coding that is used with the HTML page that is used to introduce the concept. So this is the lecture one, could look like this one. This is a CF if is defined session.pin, that is this is the tag that is defined with a special condition, and this check if the calling the page has been authenticated and the session variable has been defined in line number 13 of the authentication .cfm. So this is the text.cfm. Now CF if is defined session.pin h1 font color equals to blue. So font color is given of the h2 as h1 as a blue, a course in information retrieval. Then again the h2. So first of all there is a main heading that is displayed with the help of the h1. Then there is a next heading that is the h2, that is the font color equals to blue. Lecture 1 introduction, then font, then h2 will be closed. Then the p tag will be used. The topic information retrieval concerns the structure, analysis, implementation, search and the dissemination of the document representing the information. And the purpose, what is the main purpose, is to satisfy the needs for the information in a best possible way. So whatever the best possible way that is generated, that is used with the p tag, or that is used to generate in the best possible way to satisfy the needs of the information way. Then again there is a p tag, that is a theory tag, that is a paragraph tag, that is explained with the help of the p tag. Then again there is a p tag, again there is a p tag, again there is a p tag. So these are the multiple p tag to display the information. Again there is a p tag, p tag. After the p tag, this is font color blue. Now this is the, we can say, the navigation that is used, that is a linking that is used, that is a word high literature have a linking that is used with the literature, then the font, then p return to the then content. So this literature also have a hyperlink, content also have a hyperlink. When you click on the literature, this will jump to the literature.cfm. When you click on the content, this will jump to the content.cfm. Then cf else, then cf abort, then cf will be closed. Now that the links to the other text, literature, figure, etc. are included in as usual HTML page. Now figure 5 shows a part of the lecture. Now let's see what is the figure number 5. No. Pictures are not placed within the p tag, Larry. But all the definitions, or we can say the paragraph that is explained in this one. So whatever we can write or whatever we want to write, that is written in the, that is right in the form of the p tag, that is a paragraph tag. Right. Now next session is the session number 8, that is a web shop. So in the today's session we have finished with the session number 7, that is your session number 7, that is your e-learning. In the next class, now listen carefully, now next class will be on the Wednesday. There is no class for tomorrow, that is on the Tuesday, due to the Republic Day in India. There is a festival, that is a Republic Day in India, that is a gusted holiday for the Indian holidays. So there is no class for tomorrow. Now the class will be on the Wednesday, that is day after tomorrow, that is 27th of January. So there is no class for the 26th January, that is tomorrow. Now directly the class will be on the 27th January, that is day after tomorrow, that is Wednesday. Now for the day after tomorrow class, that is Wednesday class, the session will be session number 8, that is a web shop, that is a e-business normal, right? So that's all for today's session, and if there is any doubts, you can ask the doubts from me. Thanks a lot everyone. Bye bye. Yes, Larry, we can execute the CF codes in the, we can execute the CF code in the wordpress.com. All right.